across the world. You don't see stray dogs in New York or in London.
But this is
Obviously,
not New
somebody
York.
is taking care of these strays. It's not like there are no strays in those cities. The point
See,
is, are we going to develop those facilities for strays in our country, or are we just going to say they have as much right to public places as we do?
no, I'm not saying. It's very sad that the family has lost a child. I'm not saying that it happened. It shouldn't have happened. But in India, it's not New York or London. No, we should first even think of this. India is not New York or London, that you are comparing our cities, our towns with those cities. I'm only saying that the animal feeders, because the blame is always put on animal feeders. In the last 10, 15, 20 years, I have understood that I need to make changes in the way I feed or I take care of the dogs.
Okay.
You have to select a place where, because wherever you start feeding the dogs, they feel that it is their territory. So anybody who comes there, they feel threatened, and whatever aggression is there, and obviously people also abuse the animals. So it's both ways, but in a way, animal feeders should also take care the way they feed the animals. And
No,
if
but
they find that
I'm
certain
sure all of us
dog
are
or
accustomed to scenes of dogs being fed right in front of society gates. I mean,
that is not correct.
and that is where the problem is, that if you
Yeah,
are going to
I have
feed dogs right outside society gates, they're going to think that that is their turf, and they're going to do whatever it takes to protect that turf.
Zaka,
No, so let me get
absolutely.
some more callers in, please, because I think our viewers across the country, whether it is in gated communities or outside urban centers, seem to have very, very strong opinions on this. Let me get Aarti from Noida. She's our next caller. Aarti, good evening, ma'am. Go ahead.
Yeah. Actually, I find it very, I am also an animal lover. But at the same time, it is just not acceptable because either the government should own up the responsibility. If they are not ready to make any laws against it, then they should own up all these strays and make some kind of a shelter home
Correct.
where they can be left there. And what is there, this concept of territory? I mean, they have a territory, but human beings don't have a territory, which is very strange. I don't understand what emotional stress they will go through if they don't have a territory. I mean, we have more than 100 residents in our society who have been affected by their constant biting, sometimes dread even sending their kids to the society parks because these suddenly they come chasing.
Thank you very much for your call. Let me also get in Manoj, who's our next caller. He's calling us from Delhi. Yes, Manoj. Yes, Mr. Manoj, go ahead.
Chandrasekhar.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jacob, hi. I'm a lawyer by profession, and I'm very disheartened to see that the law, which is very clearly written, which is very clearly there, that people should feed the dogs at a designated place, it is hardly followed by the citizens.
Okay.
And it is not the police, not the authority, but the citizens which are making mockery of these rules. And the so-called animal activists and NGOs, they are the people, who are, creating nuisance.
All right. Thank you very much for your call. Let me ask Gauri Molekhi to respond to that. You heard a sampling of callers who are all saying that the problem is with the people who are feeding these strays. You go back to the Supreme Court rulings, it's very clear that it has to be in designated places. And you know from the experience that all of us have seen over the years, and particularly so during the pandemic and after, that, anywhere and everywhere the strays are fed. And that's the problem.
Okay, so I'm going to make 4 short points. One is that the rules are not made by the Animal Welfare Board of India. They're made by the central government and the parliament. Right? So these are not rules that have just come up because people like dogs. They're based on the WHO's approved program for all developing countries which are facing with a solid waste problem. We are not New York. Please don't compare us with New York. We are people who throw garbage in front of our homes. We have tons of garbage in our urban centers, and hence there are scavenging animals. You remove them in a Chairman Mao removing sparrow kind of way, and we'll call some natural calamity upon ourselves, like China gave itself the world's biggest famine. So we have to be scientific when we deal with animals. We cannot have these knee-jerk, unscientific, whimsical solutions for stuff. So that's my point number 1. The second is that feeding animals has its own benefits if there are dogs in the neighborhood and if they are fed fed, they remain friendly, and it's easier to catch them for sterilizing and neutering them, and for various rounds of vaccination that happens later. It's not nice to have scared ferocious dogs in the neighborhood which are sick, and then it would spread more diseases and more threat of bites. Better to have designated places where animals are fed. Surely there should be discipline in that. Surely the Delhi High Court order has repeatedly said that feeding areas should be designated, and anybody who feeds animals on staircases or in front of gates or in parks is not correct, and it should be regulated. But I think the larger responsibility, statutory responsibility, falls on the local authorities to run a robust animal birth control program. Wherever we see it being run, it is riddled with corruption, or it's done in a haphazard, patchworky manner, no strategy, no application of mind. If you look at Goa, you were talking about rabies. Look at Goa. Since 2017, there's no rabies over there at all because of a proper animal birth control program that was being run over there. Same with Jaipur or Chennai. The rabies cases have completely gone because they run a proper animal birth control program. Now, Uttarakhand has done the same. Lucknow has a very good animal birth control program, but Noida authorities are rogue because it doesn't come under the urban development department, industrial development or whatever. So they have their own little problems due to which animal birth control takes a very low priority, and they only realize it when an unfortunate incident like yesterday comes up.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Dinkar Pandey, Weber, Shahzada, and of course Gauri Maulikhi for joining us. This is a continuing problem. Today it was seen in Noida. We had pictures a few days ago from Kerala. This is a problem that our urban planners, our civic authorities, even our animal lovers have to come to terms with and have to deal. Yes, the court has laid down guidelines that there should be designated places that these strays should be fed. But are we following that? Who is implementing that? Who is regulating that? These are questions that are worth asking. That's a wrap. Thank you for your time.
You're watching News Epicenter with me, Maria Shakil. The demise of Jayalalitha in December 2016 led to a tectonic shift in the politics of Tamil Nadu, leading to a power vacuum and factional war for the top party post, which continues even today. But questions have persisted over the sudden deterioration of health and death of the former Chief Minister of the state. The previous AIA-DMK government, in what many saw as a political move, constituted an investigation panel headed by retired Madras High Court Judge Justice Aru Mugaswamy. The panel commenced its hearings in 2017 and went into aspects such as the late Chief Minister's hospitalization in September 2016 and the treatment provided to her. The 608-page report was tabled today in the Tamil Nadu Assembly and has made some startling revelations, putting the spotlight on VK Sasikala, the once close aide of Jayalalitha, who under the reign of the late Chief Minister was the second most powerful figure in the party. Now let me give you a sense of the key takeaways of this 608-page report, which claims that Jayalalitha and Sasikala did not have cordial ties. Let's not forget that in a period from 2011 November till 2012 April, Jayalalitha had ensured that her home, that is the Poise Garden residence, did not have Sasikala. She had asked Sasikala to leave her home. So this is what the report is also highlighting. Angioplasty was not done despite the suggestion that was made from the top doctors of UK and US. So why wasn't it done? Despite her heart condition not right, is the question that is being asked. Suggestion to provide treatment abroad was ignored. Why wasn't she taken abroad to a super speciality hospital for further treatment? Is the question that is being asked by this panel report. Jayalalitha, remember, passed away on December 4th. The announcement, the formal announcement was made only on December 5th. Why was there a delay of 24 hours in this official announcement? What is being said in this report is that the official announcement was intentionally delayed and that the doctors wanted to give this impression that they tried their best to revive the former chief minister. Sternotomy, which is a procedure that allows a doctor to reach your heart or nearby organs and blood vessels, and CPR were done to distort this time of death, is what the report is highlighting. Now let me give you a sense of what AIIMS then, that is the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, had said post Jayalalitha's death, because it turns it on its head quite literally. The AIIMS report, remember, had said that there were no errors in medical care, that in those 75 days that Jayalalitha was at Apollo Hospital in Chennai, she received all the required medical care that was needed for her treatment. Now the report here, that is the panel report of the former Justice, actually is highlighting that the angiosurgery, that is the angioplasty which is needed for the heart, was not done despite suggestion by a team of doctors from the UK and the United States. The second point now, the AIIMS report says that the treatment was given as per correct medical practice. However, the pro-panel report is saying that the suggestion that was made by the doctors that she should be taken abroad for further treatment was ignored. So again, questions being raised about what really happened in those 75 days. Was the line of treatment not correct? Well, the report says, yes, it was not correct. The AIIMS report, remember, is saying that there is no evidence of heart failure. But the probe report is saying that the time of death was distorted. Now let me give you further sense of what the panel is recommending and what are the charges. Who are the people who are now being blamed for the larger conspiracy? Because the ball firmly is now in the DMK government's court. Look, let's take a look at the key suspects. The suspect number one is one's close aide of Jayalalitha, VK Sasikala. Number two is Dr. K.S. Sivakumar, Jayalalitha's physician and Sasikala's relative as well. So when you look at the conspiracy that is being highlighted, K.S. Sivakumar is being seen as one of the key conspirators. Suspect number three is Dr. J. Radhakrishnan. He is the former Health Secretary of Tamil Nadu. Suspect number four is Dr. C. Vijay Bhaskar. He was the former Health Minister of Tamil Nadu. And suspect number five is Dr. Rama Mohan Rao, the former Tamil Nadu Chief Secretary. The big question that emerges now is, has this report indicated evidence of foul play? And what will the new government, that is the DMK government, be doing with this report? Let me bring in all my guests and go straight to the DMK spokesperson who's joining me. There is evidence of foul play. The commission has indicted Sasikala, former minister, and bureaucrats. What next? Manuraj
Well,
Sundaram.
with every commission of inquiry, Maria Shakil, and now we've had quite a few in this country of ours, once they are tabled, it is for the government to decide what the next steps are. It is too soon to tell you what will happen, but you can look at past experiences and learn from them, and as I do. Now, if you look back at the, say, for example, the Justice Ranganath Commission, which looked at the anti-Sikh riots of 1984, it was a complete fact-finding exercise, and after which multiple new FIRs came to be lodged, some of which resulted in trial and conviction of many important persons. So the first step is to understand that this particular commission of inquiry has done its job. The task that was given to it was to look into the circumstances leading to the hospitalization, treatment of a chief minister, as she was then, and now a former chief minister. Now that this has now thrown a fair bit of light into many of the facts and circumstances that led to the hospitalization and the treatment till her unfortunate death, we now know what has happened, what has transpired. As you rightly pointed out, Maria, it's, I think, a 480-page or so report. So it will take us some time. The government has tabled it today. It will be put up to scrutiny. The government can now pursue any number of legal options. We will, of course, get the best legal advice on how to go ahead. But now that we are armed with all the facts of what happened, which I must say,
what is evidently clear now is that O. Paneerselvam, according to this commission report, was in the know of everything, that he was an insider. He was an insider when he was the deputy of Jayalalitha. He was an insider when she was undergoing treatment, and also an insider who was in the rush of becoming a successor, is what that report is saying. Now, will the former chief minister who succeeded as the chief minister after Jayalalitha's demise now really say that let there be further investigation? Will he come clean?
Well, I don't think they have much of a choice. This is a very detailed report, and now that we have all the facts and circumstances, it is now up to the government. It is not up to people who have been indicted in the report.
That's a question to the AIA-DMK spokesperson, Manu. That's a question to the AIA-DMK spokesperson. Please go ahead.
Madam, good evening. Good evening. Thanks for you explained clearly everything, very clear, since from beginning to now. So I am very much thankful to you, no doubt. But here it is very clear that it is a part of negligence of the administration of the hospital, kind information. After hospitalized, they have to take care. They are the main reason for all those things. That chairman of the hospital told openly, met the press and told, the former chief minister, Amma Jayalalitha was okay, health was okay, he is ready to walk back to homeland. After that, no discharge, nothing. That is September 22nd. They conducted the Kaveri meeting, dispute meeting conducted by the government.
Yes.
So, continuously 2 hours on stage. Continuously she was participated in that meeting.
Yes.
The statement given by that former Chief Secretary Ram Mohan Rao. Ram Mohan Rao, after reaching Delhi, Amma was spoken through the cell. So this is all the statement I have given. When she was okay in the hospital, what is the necessary to give up to December 4th? This all the questionable.
Yes, even while she was in the hospital, multiple questions were being raised, C. Rajashekharan. But this point particularly to do with 75 days, no CCTV, why was CCTV cameras shut?
All responsibility from the hospital.
Mr. Rajashekharan.
Maria, I think the question, yes, Maria, my prayers to the soul of Jayalalitha to rest in peace, because poor lady has toiled in almost 75 days in the hospital and she passed away. And today we are discussing about the death of late Chief Minister Jayalalitha because of the inquiry commission report, which is cross the Lakshman Rekha of any commission, because the judge who happens to be appointed by O. Paneerselvam has come out accusing almost every next person, including the hospital, the AIMS or the doctors. And this is not the way the commission should have reported. They should have been unbiased and neutral. And above everything, Sasikala, who happens to be the close aide.
But Mr. Rajashekharan, if the commission of inquiry is actually putting a blame on Sasikala, on the former minister, on the bureaucrats, and also raising questions on the conduct of OPS, then how is it really biased? And this was a commission which was set up by Mr. OPS.
Yes, I'll tell you. See, the commission has to deal any matter for that instance with an unbiased mindset and there have been ample number of proofs. The Apollo Hospital had filed an affidavit before the Honorable Supreme Court accusing the Commission of being biased. Point number one. Point number two, the Health Secretary, who happens to be a very fantastic human, a professional and an upright officer, being accused by the Commission because he had objected to the Commission, the judge himself, when he had deposed before the Commission. Point number two. Point number three, the same judge, couple of years before, had come out in open before the media and said, Sasikala is innocent and I've been conducting the inquiry. I'm not going to call her for the deposition of anything because she is not involved. And the Dr. Richard Bell of London had come down here in 2017 after the demise of Jayalalitha, the former Chief Minister, and said it was Jayalalitha herself who refused to travel to London for treatment. And above all, the then the Vice President of India, Mr. Venkaiah Naidu, had visited Madam Jayalalitha when she was in the hospital.
Mr. Mayappan, if the head of this commission had actually said that V.K. Sasikala had nothing to do with it, then now by indicting him, making her the prime suspect, is that the reason why it is being seen from the prism of biases?
I think legally there are two issues. One, they are a suspect not still in the eye of the law. It's only as far as the inquiry report is concerned. The inquiry report is a precursor to an investigation. It's sad that the inquiry has taken such a long time. Madam Jayalalitha passed away in 2016. The inquiry committee, since constituted in 2017, has taken all the way up to 2022 to publish his report, a 5-year period. And now to go back and gather evidence for any investigative agency is going to be a tedious task. All this inquiry report raises is doubts across the board, not just in one frame.
Yes.
If you look at just the conclusion drawn out in the government order and in the very last paragraph of the inquiry report at page 448 and 480 of the GO, you basically see that doubts have been put the commission report and the manner in which the hospital had treated, the manner in which the hospital had its press conferences, and the claim that it was potentially faulty and false information that was provided, untrue information that was provided to the public and to the government, and simultaneously questioning how the four particularly named accused, Ms. V.K. Sasikala, Mr. Sivakumar, the then Health Minister, Mr. Bhaskar, and Vijay Bhaskar, and the then Health Secretary. So all these, also when you look at various evidences that are put forth, CW1 all the way to 106, only raises multiple contradictions. All that the inquiry committee has legally been able to tell and has been able to raise is doubts that have been in the minds of the people. Now, I think we're too late. It's best that we start with an investigation. Investigation from the topmost agency of the country probably may be necessary.
So you are saying that
either
perhaps
to clean everyone's hands or to find out who's actually at fault.
Yes, because if you look at it, why no foreign treatment? Why no angioplasty through the wind to achieve its aim? The hospital successfully, it says, delay in declaration of Jayalalitha's death because it says the commission is saying from 3:50 p.m. on December 4th, CPR and sternotomy exercises were futile and they have been used as a ploy to explain away the delay in the official declaration of her death. So multiple questions being raised throughout, Sumansi Raman. Politics aside, it's about former Chief Minister. The very fact that the CCTV cameras were shut for all those 75 days that she was in the hospital, that in itself raises the biggest question. That is the biggest red flag here.
No, Maria, I think first of all, yes, the CCTV cameras should not have been switched off, but that's the point is this report, this commission report is a travesty. I mean, it really is. Questioning the medical treatment, which has been certified by multiple agencies, including the All India Institute of Medical Sciences,
yes,
to have been, for there not to have been any discrepancies in the quality of care that was provided. And on what basis, during any treatment, there will be differences of opinion between different doctors. A consensus is arrived at, and then the treatment plan is evolved. So to say that one doctor said, why didn't you do this? Another doctor said, why didn't you do that? Is just juvenile. And I think that this is not, I mean, this will not stand up in any court of law. I'm glad Manu Sundaram has said that the government will take its time to study this before acting on it. The important point, even the time of death, look, you have to do a CPR for a patient. And in this particular case, the patient had a sternotomy, subsequently was put on an ECMO. You have to give time. You can't just, I mean, who is supposed to certify the death? It's a medical team that will certify the death, not people around the room. So I think that this is very unfortunate, the manner in which this investigation has been done. The best part is 4 people, are actually 6 people, are being accused, except that what they are accused of is not mentioned. They must have done some wrong. I mean, there's a comedy scene in a Tamil movie where a lawyer will speak and say, who doesn't know the law. He tells the judge, I'm sure that you know which section is applicable here. So please quote the right sections and punish these people. It is almost like that. It is, I'm sorry to say this, Maria, but it is completely bizarre that a person is being accused without even being summoned before the commission for questioning. And she is R1, Sashikala. If Sashikala, her affidavit, sworn affidavit, was deemed to be inadequate or contradictory, why was she not summoned before the commission?
Yes. So shouldn't all these people who have been declared as suspects, because that list is only long here, Mr. Mayappan, shouldn't they have been questioned? Shouldn't they have been asked to appear before the commission? In all, let's not forget that there were over 168 people, in fact 159 witnesses in relation to Jayalalitha had appeared before this commission to put forward their points of view. Then why weren't these who have been indicted also summoned?
Absolutely true, Maria. You'll have to look at the strange situation. As a matter of fact, the commission even inquired a particular member of the public who wrote a letter to the inquiry commission with about 180-page handwritten letter that just came out of nowhere, and the person had absolutely no connection to Madam Jayalalitha except for being a citizen of the state that she was the chief minister of. And when they had given that time to an individual who raised allegations, I think they should have afforded the opportunity to everyone who's being questioned, whose name potentially falls in the line of accused. That was absolutely necessary. Even if Ms. Sasikala was under trial or was in prison, I think that opportunity should have afforded. The commission could have been either at the prison, or the commission could have summoned Ms. Sasikala and conducted the inquiry. That's one. And two, I will have to allude to where Mr. Sumansi Raman had pointed out. You look at the contradiction that the commission makes. The commission has not found anything abnormal or unnatural in the conduct of the people, including R1, Ms. Sasikala, in the house in taking adequate care to shift the late chief minister to the Apollo hospital promptly without delay. You make such a record in your commission report and then later on say that they are responsible for some activity.
No, then in that case,
contradictions.
Because we're looking at multiple contradictions. Yes, Mr. Pugazandi, who really benefits from this kind of report? Because it is political. It is pure politics that's happening now.
Pugazandi is not the official spokesperson of the AIADMK.
Yes.
Sasikala, not a doctor. The Shivkumar, Dr. Shivkumar, Dr. Radhakrishnan also doctor. The Vijay Bhaskar, former minister, also doctor. She is not a doctor here. This is all, this question of the Apollo hospital answerable of the so many questions because the hospitalized. After that, that is the main answerable administration is Apollo hospital, the kind information. That I am asking the another question. It is very important that this commission is not clear, not mentioned. Only that accusing, recommending 4-person name, that the Pratap Reddy commission themselves, they mentioned the Pratap Reddy name, wrongly reported. That is why they not included this.
No, Maria.
Okay, Sumansi Raman, come in.
Maria, first of all, when I accuse you of a crime, I should at least say what crime I am accusing you of. Look, yes. Dr. Reddy, one minute. Dr. Reddy is quoted in the report as having said that the former chief minister, was fit to go home whenever she wished to. Now, this is something that happens in many cases. Patients do not need hospitalization beyond a point. That doesn't mean that they are absolutely normal or that they will not develop a complication in future. We see it all the time. Patients go home 2 days later, they're back in the hospital in a worse shape. So when Dr. Reddy actually made that statement, it is quite possible that it was a fact. And the whole point is, how is the judge competent in the absence of medical inputs to say whether this angiogram was a valid test to be done or not? It should have been corroborated by a medical team, the AIMS medical team, which was constituted of the orders of the court. because the judge at this, Justice Armugusani was not keen on having medical input.
Sumansi Raman, since you have raised a lot of questions, timeline of events are being questioned, diagnosis has been questioned in this report. Who benefits from this kind of report?
Well, there are two beneficiaries. One clearly is the ruling party, which will benefit by keeping the pot boiling, because it is a salvo which they can fire against the various factions of the AIADMK. And it also helps that, by the way, you mentioned Mr. Pugadendi as the official spokesperson of the AIADMK. That is not quite correct, because Mr. Pugadendi has been expelled by the EPS group of the party from the AIADMK. So I just wanted to place that on record. No, the point, the point very clearly is that this benefits anyone who is out to weaken the AIADMK or the principal opposition party. I'm not saying that the DMK is behind this report. I don't believe that they would, want to engineer a report in such a way. So it's not the right thing to say, and you have no evidence at all of that.
I'll give the final words
But clearly, they are beneficiaries, because now they can say that they are going to file FIRs and they are going to keep the pot boiling. They can say that they are going to take action against these 4 people. Now, what action, what crime? This will fall flat in a court of law, and I'm sure the government knows it. But, you can keep the pot boiling, and you can put some pressure on the opposition.
Okay. Manu Sundaram?
We certainly don't intend on keeping any pots boiling, but let me just express one reservation I have with Dr. Sumant Raman's conclusions. See, the difference between inquiry finding and an FIR are quite stark in law. In an FIR, you have to say what are the sections that you have been accused of, a person, what cognizable offenses have been made out of. But in a commission of inquiry, it is more of a fact-finding exercise, and he has just listed some people against whom he thinks potentially there could be further investigation.
Yes.
Now,
so the question is that after this kind of fact-finding report, which has taken 5 years in all, will there be investigation, or will the DMK government then ask the center for a CBI probe or a probe by a central agency?
Well, I don't think why anybody should ask for a CBI probe given their recent track record. But see, one thing is, I think, uncontestable, that this inquiry, though it has taken 5 years, I must correct something. 2 years of which were wasted because there was a stay order of the Supreme Court. So it is actually a 3-year inquiry. Nevertheless, it has thrown a lot of light into the hospitalization and the treatment. All of this, which was in the realm of speculation until 2 weeks ago or a few months ago, now it is completely in the factual domain. We actually know what has happened and what perhaps could have not happened. So therefore, I think we are all, the real beneficiaries are the people of Tamil Nadu, because at that time she was also my chief minister, though she was not, I do not belong to her political party. And I think it's important that we understand what has happened to a chief minister and the kind of treatment that was given to her. As to what the next steps are, like I said, there could be further investigation. This could lead to FIRs. This could lead to more inquiries. We will know only after we study the report in totality. And it is very complex. And I agree with Dr. Sumant Raman there that this is not a finding on medical negligence, but it is a finding on perhaps what has happened around the hospitalization, whether there was there's reasons to be suspicious about some people or not. So that is all where the report has come to. We have to look at whether any cognizable offense is made out, then an FIR will be registered. If anything further needs to be done, we will get it.
But before I end this discussion, Mr. Mayappan, I want to understand from you, why would a report say that Jayalalitha and Sasikala did not have cordial ties? I mean, what exactly are they talking about? How is that related to the timeline of her death?
See, the basis of the commission's inquiry itself, or its notification, clearly says the situation around the death of Ms. Jayalalitha. So it does not only have to do with the medical treatment provided to her, like my friend just alluded. It's not about medical negligence, but it's everything that went around the entire position. So it could be things leading even to her fall at home, or it could be things that led to her illness and her treatment at that point in time, or care.
So the nature of conspiracy has not been really highlighted here. It has only said that this is a subject of further investigation. As far as the fact-finding mission of this commission is concerned, they have spent 5 years, over 150 people questioned, and they have come to the conclusion that there are certain people who have been indicted. Thank you so much. I would like to thank all the panelists. We are slipping into a short break. Up next, the shadow of terror over Jammu and Kashmir continues to loom, with no end to targeted killings.
Older ideology, somewhat a comfort zone to the Gandhis, in sharp contrast to change of Shashi Tharoor. So basically, it's just going to be the same game, but just a new packaging.
Yeah, Ridhima, first of all, we must understand that internal, party democracy in India is a misnomer. So you cannot have an election the way municipal elections are held or assembly or parliament elections are held. It is held in a manner that it suits the political leadership, in this case being the Gandhis. You are absolutely right. The Congress needs a kind of, a Naya Congress kind of work culture and atmosphere and electoral success, because it is electoral success that defines everything.
True.
So as long as, if the Congress starts winning, then everything will look good. Otherwise, all the failure will be at, Gandhi's doorstep, whether it is Mr. Kharge or someone else. That is not going to change. The narrative is not going to change. The narrative is about, the Congress failure to win election. As Jairam Ramesh had famously said, this is a side show. The real show will be in Himachal. Real show has got to do with Gujarat and all that, whether the Congress can put up a good performance or not. In fact, all the assembly elections till 2024, Karnataka is next. So whatever Congress does, it will be judged by that, not by these party polls. I mean, you can have a view, but all political parties do not have internal democracy.
Okay. Dr. Onika, so then what really was the intent of the Congress party? And the reason that I'm asking you is in terms of the immediate challenges for whoever wins this election, either Mallikarjun Kharge or Shashi Tharoor, as far as infighting in Rajasthan, state elections, Gujarat, Himachal, and the larger picture for 2024. Is the Congress already readying a game plan to tackle those very important and immediate challenges?
Absolutely right. And that's a factor where we all should be working towards it. No denying about that. But ma'am, let the person win. I mean, let's see who wins and who comes forward. Instead of just deciding what he'll become or not, let him take the charge, and then a roadmap can be done. Congress always had a future, always had a vision. Unlike the BJP, never had a vision. They talk about the dollar going up and the money.
No, but ma'am, having a vision on paper is fine, but is that vision actually turning into reality is the question that possibly the Congress needs to ask, because in terms of the electoral success, and I agree with the point that Rashid is making, that once the Congress starts getting the electoral success, you will have other things falling into place. Post the loss that they've seen in Punjab, look at an Aam Aadmi party. They're trying to increase their inroads. You already have a very aggressive BJP. They're already getting their top leadership on the ground as far as Gujarat is concerned. What is the Congress doing?
All right, I would like to answer that. You see, ma'am, if they want to play event, if they want to have all the wrong narratives said, so be it. In the long term, this is not what the country is going to gain. I mean, we are right. We are here to win elections. We are not here to give sermons. But having said that, I mean, is it right to just play with the country and with the emotions and putting fake narratives of hate speeches, of not bother about inflation, not bother employment? Is that how you are going to move the country forward? And Nirmala ji goes abroad and says, oh, the dollar is rising. Just imagine the narrative these people are setting.
Let's not mix the topics, Dr. Onika. The day we're discussing about the economy, we'll give an invitation to the Congress party and we'll have a fair discussion. But sticking to the topic that we're discussing, RP Singh, how do you respond to what Dr. Onika is saying, that at least let the election conclude? Why are we already working with hypothetical situations? Let's have a clear winner. 19th is when we'll all know the winner.
We all know who the winner is, we all know what has happened, and we all know the message was already there. It's all through this remote control system the new president will work. As it worked, the Prime Minister worked. Did you ever heard Prime Minister utter a word when Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister? I mean, files used to go to 10 Janpads. File was cleared by 10 Janpads. We all know that. Everything was done by 10 Janpads. The coterie of the 10 Janpads used to decide what to do, what not to do. Same thing will happen now also. It's not going to change. Only thing is that just putting another pawn instead of another pawn. They tried on Gehlot, who revolted, the local Chhatar revolted against the dynasty. Now they have got another man to represent them. That's all what the Congress is. Ultimately, it's a dynasty which is going to run it. It's two Gandhis and two Vadras who are going to run the Congress. And they will decide what is the future of Congress. But ultimately, what Mr. Kadwai said, they are not...
Breaking news coming in now, and this is a CNN News 18 exclusive. Top sources are telling CNN News 18 that a nexus between lawyers and gangsters is now under the radar of NIA, that is the National Investigation Agency. This comes amidst an NIA crackdown on organized crime across 5 states. One advocate named Asif Khan has been arrested. Arms and ammunition has been recovered from his home. And as per sources, Asif was in touch with gangsters both inside and outside jail, providing assistance for illegal activities. He has been linked to Raju Mota, who has been accused of running an illegal liquor mafia network. So now a nexus being investigated by the National Investigation Agency, and that is coming via our investigations editor Manoj Gupta. Please give us more details, Anvit.
Yes, see, Maria, now this was a raid by NIA, and this was the raids were conducted across 5 states today. And why the NIA is saying that it's a nexus between lawyers and gangsters and liquor mafias, because 2 of the main people who were raided today, one was has been identified as Asif Khan. He's an advocate, and he is said to be an advocate who practices at Karkaduma Court in Delhi. The police has found during the NIA has found during raids that weapons and a few pistols were recovered from his house today. And during examination, NIA is saying that it came to light that Asif was the one who was in touch with gangsters both inside and outside the jail. It has also been said that he was actively assisting gangsters and criminals in carrying out various types of criminal illegal activities. In fact, he was one of the persons who was also a point of contact between liquor mafias who used to collect money and fund activities as the gangsters used to ask their henchmen outside the jail to act. Now, the second person, Raju Mota, who you mentioned, is the person who runs who is a liquor mafia, and he has a network of illegal liquor vents in Sonipat and surrounding areas in Haryana. He's also said to be a close accomplice of Kala Jatedi, who we know is one of the big names when it comes to gangsters of Delhi. And previously, also like CNN News 18 in its investigation had revealed that how these gangsters have been running their nexus from inside the jail. This, the second time raid by NIA has also revealed further, because it has completely revealed the nexus between the liquor mafias, advocates who are working at behest of the gangsters, and the gangsters themselves who are running the show from very much from the jail.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Anvit. And shifting focus to debate 2 now, days after another Kashmiri Pandit was murdered by terrorists in South Kashmir's Shopian, 2 migrant laborers from Uttar Pradesh have been killed in a targeted grenade attack in Shopian as well. They were reportedly sleeping when the attack took place. The police have arrested 2 terrorists who have been identified as overground workers or hybrid terrorists linked to the Lashkar-e-Taiba. Meanwhile, the State Investigation Agency is carrying out raids in South Kashmir's Pulwama in connection to the targeted killings and terror financing. However, anger continues on the streets of Jammu and Kashmir as Kashmiri Pandits are demanding relocation outside the valley. But the government has made it clear that any move to relocate Pandits will be an admission of defeat against terrorists. The normalcy drive in Jammu and Kashmir has delivered results. The tourist footfall in 2022 has been the highest since independence. There has been an unprecedented Tiranga campaign, remember, on Independence Day. Cinemas have reopened after decades. The government's attempt is to bring the Vikas drive at par with the rest of the country. But the shadow of terror persists. In fact, this was echoed by former Chief Minister Farooq Abdullah, who even said that the influx of outsiders is responsible for the targeted killings. It has been 3 years since the abrogation of Article 370, with the possibility of elections next year. How can the Indian government counter the security challenge to truly deliver badlao to Jammu and Kashmir? Before I get the guests, here's what happened today.
The Valley of Death strikes again as terrorists target Hindus and non-locals in Kashmir. The latest victims are 2 labourers from Uttar Pradesh, Manish Kumar and Ram Sagar. They were asleep in a tin shed in South Kashmir's Shopian district when terrorists hurled a grenade inside.
शोपियान में टारगेट किलिंग का सिलसिला जारी है और हरमैन में जो रात के 1 बजे जो वाक़ा पेश आया वो इसी जगह पर पेश आया है कि वहाँ पे जो है पुलिस के मुताबिक जो हाइब्रिड मिलिटेंट जो था उन्होंने यहाँ से ग्रेनेड थ्रो किया है और यहाँ पे जो 2 नॉन लोकल कश्मीरी मजदूर थे उन्होंने वो यहाँ पे सोए हुए थे।
The attack comes just 2 days after terrorists shot dead a Kashmiri Hindu, Puran Krishan Bhatt, outside his home in Shopian. In fact, Hindus and non-locals have become sitting ducks for terrorists. Government employee Rahul Bhatt was gunned down inside his office in Badgaon on the 12th of May. On the 31st of May, Rajni Bala, a teacher, was shot dead in her school in Kulgaon. On the 2nd of June, a terrorist walked into a bank in broad daylight in Kulgaon in South Kashmir and opened fire, killing Vijay Kumar, an employee at the bank. Make no mistake, these are not random killings. Manish Kumar, Ram Sagar and Puran Krishan Bhatt were all targeted by terrorists because they were non-locals or from the Hindu community.
हम रिक्वेस्ट करना चाहते हैं गवर्नमेंट से बार-बार 140 दिनों से करते आ रहे हैं। एलजी साहब से हमने यही दुआ लाई है कि हमें जम्मू से कश्मीर से जम्मू को ट्रांसफर किया जाए। सिविल
जान जो है हमारी बचाई, कितनी लाशें भर के आप वहाँ से लाएंगे?
ये आज की बात नहीं है। टारगेट किलिंग का सिलसिला वहाँ 1 साल से शुरू है। राम राज्य के हिंदू तबके बड़े-बड़े वादे किए जाते हैं सरकार की तरफ से। क्या ये है हिंदू राष्ट्र?
Lashkar-e-Taiba offshoot TRF has warned that attacks on so-called outsiders will continue.
तमाम मिलिटेंट्स जो हैं, मैं बार बार कहता था मैंने कि वो कश्मीरियों के हमदर्द नहीं है, तो मिलिटेंटों का और पाकिस्तान और पाकिस्तानी फौज को इस बात का एहसास ही नहीं है कि हम क्या कर रहे हैं।
पहले 370 से ये हो रहा, आज तो 370 नहीं है, मेरी क्यों मृत्यु हो रही है? इसके जिम्मेदार कौन है?
On ground, the fear and anger among Hindu minorities is boiling over. They don't want to become another statistic in the valley of death. So can the government wipe out terror from Kashmir once and for all?
Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP, joining me on the show. Amit Raina, spokesperson of Roots in Kashmir. I had both of you on Saturday when we were sadly discussing Puran Krishan Bhatt's death, killing. And Sanju, today there is another mindless targeted killing that has happened, and it's not ending. And telling the Kashmiris to be patient is something that the government is doing, something that the BJP is doing. What next?
You know, Maria, I know that last Saturday we had a verbal fisticuff of sorts, me and Amit Raina. I will reiterate what I said on Saturday for the benefit of your audience. I started by saying that does the government need to do more? Unabashedly, I will say yes. Has the government done enough? Of course, yes. And I told you that be it diplomatic offensive or military offensive, be it stripping out, Pakistan from the Indo-Kashmir issue. I think the government has been waging a war on various fronts. And in your introduction, what I found interesting and what I need to re-emphasize is the fact that those who say, safety first and development can come next. Unfortunately, I don't think, that is the sequence it works in, because I think development is very, very important to ensure that radicalized youngsters are brought into the mainstream. And let's be very clear that the problem in Kashmir now is not just lone wolf attacks or OGWs. But if you look at the NIA report and even the SIA, the State Investigative Agency of Jammu and Kashmir, they say that a new form of, violence which is being unleashed is by the hybrid militants. These are radicalized youngsters who are not trained. They are not sophisticated in terms of access to funding, but they commit wanton acts of terror, isolated acts of terror, while pretending to be regular civilians.
Yes.
So I think in order to curb hybrid militancy, the fact that development has been the prime agenda of the Modi government and Lieutenant General Manoj Sinha, I think that is something that we need to take cognizance of. And also, Maria, let's not forget that in the last, I culled out some data before coming to your debate. And, in the last 15 odd years, apparently there have been more than 16,000 ceasefire violations. And I was, appalled to know that actually 70 to 72% of these ceasefire violations happened prior to the Modi government coming to the helm of affairs in 2014. So I'm not trying to deflect attention from the horrific killings, but truth needs to be told. And I think, what we need to also... Just 10 seconds, Maria.
Okay, Sanju.
Okay, 10 seconds. The only thing that I need to point out, is the Modi government responsible? Yes, we need to do more, but let's not forget how many channels discussed the shameful statement by Farooq Abdullah few days back, where he was asked about these killings and he said, "Ye rukne wala nahi hai till justice is served."
Yes, I'm hoping I'll be joined by one of the representatives to answer that, because that certainly is a shameful statement to make. Amit Raina, this is mindless, this is endless, almost looks like it begins on 12th. And all those who have been part of the development narrative, look at the profiles: government employee, teacher, a bank employee, they are being targeted. Outsiders, laborers are being targeted. So certainly, I mean, lone wolf attack, no, not really. But then there is more to this kind of terror. This is a strategy. This is a new kind of terror, or hybrid terror, as we are discussing it.
My worry is the way of India is responding to the situation. Just a day back, we lost a man who was shot dead outside his house.
Yes.
And in 24 hours, you have another 2 people being killed in the same district.
Yes.
किसी के कान पे जू नहीं रहेंगी, make no difference except for statements coming out from LG office and some BJP politicians that they condemn it. Now, is this the new norm that is being accepted by the government? Is something which is worrying me. Heads did not roll. There were no, in spite of you having intelligence input that attacks are imminent, no precautions were taken, nothing was done. Now that's one. So it is something which is very worrying. Now, second, coming back to hybrid terrorism. As I said earlier also, you have killed thousands of terrorists after abrogation of Article 370. Almost 1,000 terrorists have been eliminated. But each terrorist has been replaced by another one because there is a queue which is willing to replace. Now, have you been able to work on that? No. And if hybrid terrorism is today the norm, that means there is an ecosystem available for that person to come, attack, kill, and go back into the society without being traced and going unnoticed. So you have been killing people, but you have not been able to attack it at its root. You have not been able to eliminate, and unless you are not working on that, you are never going to be successful in Kashmir. Now, coming back to the development narrative, that development will be the route to bring peace to Kashmir. If development was a route, we would have not seen Osama bin Laden, from one of the wealthiest families in the world, engineer himself being a terrorist. We would have not seen many people who were employed with government of Jammu and Kashmir, government of India, and were working in great positions being part of terror network. If development was the route, then we would have not seen jihad in Europe, in Australia, and America. So if we have a wrong medicine for something, if you have a wrong medicine for the disease, you are never going to cure it. Development has never been the issue. Have you ever seen in Kashmir someone raising and saying, "Hame naukri chahiye"? Have you seen someone in Kashmir raising flag ki yahan mein pani chahiye? We have been talking about ISIS flags. We have been talking about Pakistan. We have seen ISIS. We have seen Pakistan. We have seen people being
what
killed.
is the solution?
People being killed.
The government says, the government is saying that the development or them, the effort at mainstreaming Kashmir is leading to this radicalization, which is being opposed by these jihadi groups. That is evident.
Now, ma'am, look
the targeted killing is only happening because they realize that they are on a back foot.
Exactly. No, this is 16,000 civilians have been killed till now. Were they always on back foot in the last 30 years? This is an excuse. They have changed the strategy, and you are not able to counter that strategy. So you go and find an excuse saying they are frustrated. Pakistan has been frustrated for the last 70 years. What is new about it? The problem is you have to, if you want to solve Kashmir, you have to act the way France does.
Okay, Sanju Verma, is the government, okay, is the government getting its strategy wrong?
I just need 10 seconds.
Okay.
You have Farooq Abdullah today and yesterday openly endorsing the killing of Hindus in the valley. He says 370 ke वापस नहीं लाओगे, justice नहीं मिलेगा, this killing will happen. This is open endorsement to the killing and openly telling and threatening people. Why is he still out there? Why has he not been booked? If you can book him when you abrogated Article 370 under PSA, why are you allowing him today to spray venom in J&K?
Sanju.
Okay, Maria, now I heard Amit Raina, and I want to focus on one very interesting phrase which he used. He said hybrid militancy is on the rise because an ecosystem is being provided. And there I agree with him. He's right when he says that there is an ecosystem which is being provided to these radicalized young militants, which is called hybrid terror, a new form of terror that has been unleashed in the valley. But where Amit Raina gets it wrong is the fact that this ecosystem is being provided on a platter, not by the Modi government, not by LG Manoj Sinha, not by the NIA. It is being provided by politicians in the valley who are radicalized themselves and who soft pedal an Islamist jihadi philosophy very unabashedly. Be it Mehbooba Mufti, be it Farooq Abdullah, and the Modi government will do what it needs to do. People said we will never ban PFI. But the banning of PFI, I did not disturb you. Can you stop heckling? Maria, can you ask this man to stop heckling? You will
talk anything and I will listen to it.
No, I will not allow you to
I'm
heckle me.
expected to listen to it. You will use word
Can
heckling.
this man?
No.
Please tell me.
Yes, I am a rude man because I am a genocide victim. Thanks to your government. I am a genocide victim. Thanks to your government. You want for normal.
You are behaving like a goon. I refuse to debate with this man. I refuse to debate with this man.
No, I'm
leaving the debate. You can have him.
Genocide. I don't what I'm talking to you. You support genocide. You want to show normalcy over dead bodies in Kashmir. That is the standard you have put today. If Farooq Abdullah is criminal, why did you invite him to Delhi? What was Mehbooba Mufti doing in Delhi? And why is he not behind bars today? Don't make these political statements, either act or be quiet.
Can I come?
Yes, Sanju Verma can come in now. Sanju Verma, yes.
I will have my word only if I am there on screen.
Okay, Sanju, you are getting the final word. Please go ahead. Yes.
Maria, don't say okay. You have a very condescending way of talking. After, allowing this man to heckle me.
Go ahead, please.
I am going ahead. Please don't say that, I heckle because actually it's quite the contrary on your shows. I did not want to come for this debate because of this career heckler. Let me be very clear.
You are a career heckler. You have been abusing Hindus left, right and center. You have been, shut up.
Amit Raina, please. Amit Raina, listen to her, please. Amit Raina, please.
She cannot go personal. If she goes personal, she will get attacked from me.
Amit Raina, please.
I don't
care. Okay, Sanju Verma. Amit Raina, please. Yes, please. Thank you.
No,
Thank
I refuse. You have him on the screen.
Okay, Sanju, please speak. Please speak.
I will speak if you remove him from the screen, Maria Shakil. I refuse to debate otherwise with this uncouth goon.
No, you will not say anything like that because the PCR decides who will be on the screen and not you.
Because
please.
You are giving him a free run.
No, he is representing the Kashmiri Pandits and he has to be given. No, he has to be given the required platform and which he has been given. Please respond. Please respond, Sanju.
Can you stop interrupting me? I said I will speak. The problem with you, Maria, is you give free run to certain elements and then you give me a bhashan on decorum. The point is this. It is because of people who are misguided and refuse to call out the bluff of the likes of Farooq Abdullah, refuse to call out the bluff of the likes of Mehbooba Mufti. They are scared to say that the fountainhead of the problem in Kashmir, the snake, the head of the snake is radical Islamist jihad. You can come and blame the government, that's your right. You can expect accountability from the government, that's your right. But one of the key stakeholders are also politicians in the valley who are on the other side of the fence and who have been soft peddling separatism. And that is something which nobody on your panel comes and discusses, because it is convenient to bash the Modi government without bashing Farooq Abdullah, without bashing Mehbooba Mufti, without asking questions of Omar Abdullah.
All right.
And I just want to say one more thing. People like Amit Raina who say development does not matter. It does matter. You know, Maria, we have had more than 1.65 crore tourists coming in the last 9 months to Kashmir, the highest ever in post-independent
India. Please get your facts right. It is 22 lakhs only to Kashmir. Please do not make statements. You will make any statement. You will make false statements.
So miserable.
You are out to insult your party with such
statement.
You are counting, including Vaishno Devi pilgrims also as part of Kashmir. You do not even know where Jammu is, where Kashmir is, and you are talking, debating on Kashmir.
All right, Amit Raina, appreciate your time. Sanju Verma, thank you so much for joining me. Shifting focus to a piece of breaking news that is coming in now. In a shocking incident, an LKG student was allegedly raped by a driver at a private school in Hyderabad. The accused has been arrested, and according to the parents, the accused was sexually assaulting the child for 2 months. Swastika is joining me on the phone line. Swastika, this is shocking, shameful. I mean, this driver was raping this baby for several months, and the family did not know about it. How did did the child communicate to the parents? What exactly happened?
Well, according to the parents of the child, 2 months ago, there was a time when she would profusely cry after coming back from school. We are talking about twin girls here, and in fact, the parents at that point in time couldn't figure out what exactly was wrong. Now, 2 months later, in the recent times, in fact, when she started crying and slipped into depression, that is when the parents did some physical examination, and they found some bruises as well as injury marks on her hands, as well as private parts as well. That is what the parents have alleged here. Now, following massive outrage today, where the parents in fact went to the school, confronted the driver in front of the school principal, and in fact started attacking him, that is when the police had to jump into action. But the parents here have alleged that not just their children, but multiple children were scared about this particular accused driver, who has now been taken into custody. He was in fact arrested just a short while ago after much outrage, after parents of the particular private school in question assembled outside the police station here in Banjara Hills in Hyderabad, and that is when the matter was taken into full confidence by the police.
All right, Swastika, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll be seeing you tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching.
And just to diagnose where and who went wrong, I'd say squarely it is the fault of the Noida authority. For the past 3-4 years, we've been telling them that the program is riddled with corruption, and hardly any sterilization is happening, and a lot of relocation is happening. People want dogs out of their societies. They're picked up and thrown somewhere else in some other locality where they fight for territory, and aggression gets aggravated. This is a result of exactly that. It was a ticking time bomb. Very unfortunate and avoidable situation. Only if we learn to mend our ways now and run a proper, robust, scientific animal birth control program, and not probably go back to the municipal corporation law era of the British, when Indians and dogs and whatever were not allowed in certain areas, and that did not solve the problem. I mean, during the municipal corporation laws, when they were enforced, did that solve the problem of dogs? No, it did not. For centuries, it did not, which is why for developing countries that have an urban solid waste problem, there are scavenging animals, and to get rid of them, one has to apply science. You cannot have an eye for an eye and let's kill all the dogs right now, or let's remove them and put them in some shelters. It's not going to be scientific. Moreover, the rules provide that if a dog is aggressive, then in the animal birth control center, it can be put under observation, which where it can either die of rabies, or if it mends its ways,
but Gauri Maliki, why then is in a country like ours, the estimate of the number of dogs that have been sterilized is less than 10% out of a possible 60 million dogs across the country? Less than 6 million have been sterilized. Surely then you would agree that there is a problem of non-sterilized dogs, and particularly in urban centers like Delhi NCR, or you saw what happened in Kerala a few months ago. If you have a large number of non-sterilized dogs out there, surely it's an invitation to kill.
Zero resources by the center towards the animal birth control program. Municipal corporation not even understanding their duty, let alone trying to implement it properly, and state governments not monitoring the animal birth control program as has been directed by the Honorable Supreme Court. These are the gaps.
Okay,
if only
I've got a bunch of callers.
Resources,
I want to go to them first, and then I'll go across back to the rest of our guests. Mr. Kulamani Mishra is calling us from Bhubaneswar. Mr. Mishra, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Go ahead with your question, yes.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead with your question. I can hear you.
Actually, this dog menace is very distressing. And in our colony also, it is a colony of 210 families. The pet dog kept by the owners or tenants is also highly distressing and disturbing. When we are going inside the lift, one dog is coming from top floor, and it harms the new entrant inside the lift. So this has to be stopped. The new rules to be framed, wherein a dog time should be fixed, that from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. dogs can be allowed inside the lift. Other times dogs should not be allowed inside the lift.
All right, let me also go across to our next caller. Thank you very much, Mr. Mishra. Vimla is calling us from Pune. Good evening, ma'am. Go ahead with your question, please.
Yes, just about the stray dogs, it has become a nuisance actually. In each and every corner of the road, minimum 7 dogs will be waiting there. And when we go, small children, behind our children, they are running and they are just getting injured. So, I don't know what will be the solution for this. It should be stopped, because,
all right, thank you for your call. Harish is calling us from Chennai. Harish, good evening. What is your question, sir?
I don't have a question. I have a solution for your problems. See, I am 60 years old. For the past 38 years, I'm training dogs and I'm with dogs, and I handle very rough dogs. The problem I've seen in all these years, all these dog attacks started after you people started castrating the dogs. That is one of the worst things you should do. They get frustrated. Don't stop that first. Second thing, what I advise you people, whatever the government or whoever the authority is, let the dogs be allowed to mingle in the public, and let the children be trained on dogs and all that. Just a finger and your attitude can stop any dog from attacking anybody.
All right, Harish, thanks very much for that. Dinkar Pandey is Vice President of NIFOA.
Hello and welcome to the late night edition with me, Ayushman Singh Jamwal. Days after another Kashmiri Pandit was murdered by terrorists in South Kashmir's Shopian, 2 migrant laborers from Uttar Pradesh have been killed in a targeted grenade attack in Shopian as well. The police have arrested 2 terrorists who have been identified as overground workers or hybrid terrorists linked to the Lashkar-e-Taiba. However, anger continues on the streets of Jammu and Kashmir as Kashmiri Pandits are demanding relocation outside the valley. But the government has made it clear that any move to relocate Pandits will be an admission of defeat against the terrorists. On the broadcast, I'm joined by General Saidata Hasnain and General Sanjay Kulkarni, 2 military men who understand the DNA of Jammu and Kashmir. Good evening, gentlemen. General Hasnain, I'll come to you first. While the crackdown on terror continues in Jammu and Kashmir, the big challenge, it seems, is uprooting terror from a region where terrorists and separatists have called the shots for decades.
Ayushman, first of all, this is a very, very big question that you have asked me. And thank you for inviting me to your program. But this is a very big question. When a conflict, which is I call a proxy conflict, has gone on for 30 years and more, it is really more than a generation if you really look at it. It's seeped into the fabric of society. And to weed this out, to weed out something which has deliberately been done by your adversaries, is going to be a very, very difficult phase for you, is going to be a very, very deep challenge for you. First of all, we have to understand that
most of us have no understanding. In India, most of us have no understanding of Jammu and Kashmir. We think that Jammu and Kashmir is a terrorist problem. It is furthest from being a terrorist problem. It's a proxy war problem. It's a hybrid war problem. Now, the problem is that today, suddenly out of the blue, a lot of people have introduced this terminology called the hybrid conflict, or rather the hybrid terrorist. Now people are even more confused. What is the hybrid terrorist and what is the hybrid conflict? I don't want to go into the details of all this. The center of gravity of such conflicts are always the people of that region. The side that the people will favor will be the side which will ultimately win this conflict. This is a notion which has to be understood. The problem is that those who do not have a securitized orientation think that the only weapon to be used for this is the AK-47. And at the end of the year, you count the number of terrorists killed and celebrate that. You do not realize that if you have killed 200 terrorists, you have perhaps created 300 more. And this cycle continues. So this cycle has to be broken. This cycle has to be broken by making sure that your infiltration from across the line of control is restricted, limited, neutralized. The second paradigm is recruitment, which is local. And that you can control through what the question you asked me. And that is the hearts and minds direction, through the hearts and minds line. But for that, the effort has to be phenomenal. The understanding cannot be just security understanding, cannot be military understanding. It has to be social, it has to be economic, it has to be cultural, it has to be religious. There's a combination of so many things which has to go into this. Now, if you really want to take this into the realm of a large-scale hearts and minds program, then this has to have an all-of-government approach, which means every department of government has to participate in this to understand that we have a security problem because of the isolation of the people away from the mainstream India.
Right.
And we have to bring people back into the mainstream.
Right. I want to take that point to you, General Kulkarni. The specter of separatism, to truly achieve normalcy, you have to exercise that from the region and even the people.
Ayushman, as I look at it, I personally would feel that much that is being said about, and primarily when it comes from ex-chief ministers, that things like this can be stopped, is indicative of the separatist ideology that still persists amongst some of the valley politicians. I think these kind of statements that emanate do give a feeling that definitely the local politicians and the ones who've been there as chief ministers of the state, wanting and advising the government of India every now and then, talk to Pakistan. Obviously, this entire terrorism have its various, you can say dimensions. There is external dimension. There is the external dimension. Obviously, you have Pakistan, which is playing a very big role. All instruments of accession signed by all the principalities and the Maharajas have the same paper on which dotted line was signed by the Maharaja Hari Singh then. So I think these kind of talks by separatist politicians who are from the valley, again and again putting this into the heads of the Kashmiris who are not interested in all this. Who would be interested in? They are more interested in good education. They are more interested in opportunities to be able to work. They are more interested in tourism flourishing so that they can be benefited from it. They are more interested in interaction and feeling free and fair wherever they go in India, not being discriminated, not being seen as someone, who don't seem to be feeling. All this has been instilled in the minds of the Kashmiris by none other than these local politicians who seem to be the biggest beneficiaries of this Article 370 till it was abrogated. It is they who have lost everything, and now they feel absolutely, fish out of water. And that's where the whole problem is cropping up. Well, all these fringe, as you said, rightly said, hybrid terrorists, they're bound to have these kind of things to happen, because why they do happen is because there are some separatists who are interested in all these kind of things. So they will do, kill one and scare millions. That's what they're doing right now. But the millions are not actually interested in what's happening. There's just fringe elements Very, very small. How many terrorists do you think there are? There wouldn't be more than about 150 to 175, presuming that 50% are Pak origin and another balance of them are maybe the locals. How many OGWs? Probably another same number you can say would be the OGW, the overground workers whom we call them as OGW. How many of these hybrid, radicalized, unlisted? They're all those, they are their eyes and ears because they are the people who are helping this terror front organization with all kinds, whether it is funding, whether it is shelter, whether it is food, whether it's providing them with batteries for their mobiles or charging their mobiles and giving them information about the security forces. So this kind of a thing, unless the Kashmiri himself, the local, the Aam Aadmi, what we call it in Kashmir, the common man, he has to stand up and say enough is enough. Now, these local politicians over there, if they're trying to play the sentiments again and again, I think it's time they got away with it, and they must be sorted out nice and proper. And even this clergy lot, the clergy lot also, because not many of them are Kashmiris themselves. You'll find a lot of them from UP. You'll find a lot of them from other states who go there, and clergy is in their various masjids and everyone, always and every time talking about all this. Terrorism is definitely on decline. On decline, you have a double digit. Once upon a time, you had stone pelters, you had militants in 3 digits. Today, there's nothing. Very few, some here and there. And you take it, if the people from Kashmir decide from the valley, I would say from the valley, decide that, well, they are not going to support it and they will openly go against it, you'll soon find terrorism will end within 48 hours.
Absolutely. That push has to come from the people themselves. And General Hasnain, while Kashmiri Pandits have demanded relocation, the government says that move will be an admission of defeat. So what is the way out here?
Well, I think that response is professionally the right response. A lot of hard work has gone. First of all, let me say I very deeply regret any loss of life. I regret from what happened from 19th of January 1990 till today, loss of life, especially of minority communities, migrant labor, innocent people altogether. I deeply regret it. Having said that, even one life lost, as it happened day before yesterday, is a calamity for India. Because it sets me back, it sets all of us back in our thinking of progress and progression in Jammu and Kashmir. But having said that, a strong nation has to bear certain amount of failures from time to time. I won't classify this as a failure. It's an obstacle. This pushback will take place. It's happening. The day the IMAX cinema got inaugurated, the day the multiplexes got inaugurated in Shopian, Pulwama, people asked me, "Sir, what is your reaction?" I said, very good, this is happening. But there will be a pushback. To think that people are sitting with kid gloves across the line of control is a mistaken notion. There will be pushbacks against you, and you will find targeting of even technicians, targeting of members of the audience and things like that. You mean to say every time this happens, we're going to put up our hands? We cannot do. We cannot afford. We are one of the bravest communities among us, the Kashmiri Pandit community. I know them, I work with them very hard. I know it. I sit with them, I break bread with them, and I empathize with them. And I know the kind of sacrifices that they have made for this country. And therefore, when an incident of this kind takes place, my only request to the community is we continue to be with you, we continue deeply empathizing with you, but give the country a chance. Be with the government. The government is doing everything it can, but there will be pushbacks, there will be failures from time to time, but ultimately, jeet hamari hogi.
Right. So that message coming in from General Hasnain, the night is darkest before the dawn. General Kulkarni, I'll give you the final word. Winning the battle of hearts and minds is key to victory in Jammu and Kashmir. Are we on the right track?
Winning hearts and minds must be a continuous process, and that has definitely played, because I found myself, in terms of education is concerned, tremendous amount of effort has been made by the armed forces in education. Tremendous amount of effort has been made in ensuring that, you know, basic amenities, should they not be available to them at places that are made available to them. If in disasters, should there anything happen, be it in floods, in earthquake, whenever such a thing strikes them, we are always in the forefront in helping them and ensuring that. So you find that there is a lot of good done by the security forces for the civilians over there, and the civilians, they are also grateful for all the efforts and the, you know, the kind of efforts that we do, we put in for winning the hearts and minds. But yes, there is a very small fringe element which primarily survives on external funding, and as I said, 3/4 of the population is born post 1989, and that's a very huge population which has seen these kind of things only happening, and you know, they feel that this is part of life. But yes, our effort in winning the hearts and minds go all out, and I think it has made tremendous amount of impact, because they seem to realize that if at all there is any safety, it is because the security forces are standing on the streets 24/7 in ensuring the security of that those people who are really not bothered, really not concerned with terrorism. They're interested in ensuring that their daily life, their children are educated well, they do well, and their lives prosper. And somehow or the other, they would want to find themselves coming out of the valley from Kashmir, settle down in some part of the states in India, or go abroad and do well. So it is absolutely, each one of them, as anybody would, any family would want their children to do well. And that's where most common men over there seem to do and feel the same way. So winning hearts and minds, yes, and we must continue to do, irrespective of what a fringe element might do against the security forces. That, in any case, we are there to ensure that we will handle that. And we know how to handle it without violating human rights. That is a must. We mustn't violate human rights, and we don't violate human rights. But that will be ensured. But winning hearts and minds, yes, and dealing with the terrorist, because a dead terrorist is a good terrorist.
Right. We leave it at that. General Hasaina, General Kulkarni, thank you for joining us on CNN News 18 and giving us your take on the situation in Jammu and Kashmir. We're going to take a short break. More news and updates on the other side.
Took toll of at least 8 residents. Recently, one lady was attacked by a group of dogs, and she was not provoking. She was mature enough and fit enough. She got spinal cord injury, and she is on verge of losing her job. People, I'll take example. Even my kid got attacked by cord, bitten from back, and she lost school for so many days. We are not talking about impacts. See, strays are not here to stay in your home, right? There are certain other spaces for them. We all are saying that dogs and men can go together. We are talking about dogs' rights. We are not talking about men's rights, human rights, right?
Okay.
In society, if you are going to parking, a group of dogs starts barking and charging towards you. How much capable you are to fight all those attacks together, right? So all the animal lovers should understand that we also are animal lovers. We are not against. But then there should be rules framed, and not only framed. There are so much rules by authorities, by Supreme Court, by government. But how many are being implemented on ground?
No, in fact, some are arguing that the rules are also coming in the way. The rules are also a problem, as indeed judgments laid out by the Delhi High Court and the Supreme Court. Let me ask Shehzada Sodi this. In fact, earlier this year, in May of 2022, the Supreme Court, a 3-judge bench, had vacated a stay on a Delhi High Court order which said that stray dogs have a right to food and water and citizens have the right to feed them, which basically means it paves the way for community dogs to be fed either at private driveways or porches or spots that are designated in consultation with RWAs, which means it is incumbent on the local police to ensure that no caregiver or community dog feeder is harassed. Now, if these are the rules, if these are the judgments of the court, then surely, like I said, it's an invitation for these strays to kill.
First of all, it's very unfortunate that has happened in Noida. And the second thing is, as an animal lover, as a feeder, I feed dogs every day. And I'm also harassed every day by the public and the people where I go and feed. But over the years, I have understood that I have to make the changes. How can I feed the animals? And I'm not against the people as well. So I've chosen times chosen times and places where animals can be fed in a separate area, or closer to the grounds, or closer to the main road. So so it doesn't get into the way of the people that are staying there. But if you say that you cannot have dogs in public places, then where will they go? It has to be, you have to make animal feeders the stakeholders in all these things. But we are harassed in a lot of ways. It's only when it goes beyond a point that we go and file an FIR, or we ask our people to come with us and to help us out. But it's very rare. It's most of the time 9 out of 10 people are harassing animal feeders, to be genuine.
No, but Mr. Sodhi, what will you say to the family that lost the 7-month-old child today? I mean, you're saying that dogs have to have rights to public places just like humans do. But what about modern cities across the world? You don't see stray dogs in New York or in London. But obviously, somebody is taking care of these strays. It's not like there are no strays in those cities. The point is, are we going to develop those facilities for strays in our country, or are we just going to say they have as much right to public places as we do?
No, I'm not saying. It's very sad that the family has lost a child. I'm not saying that it happened. It shouldn't have happened. But in India, it's not New York or London. No, we should first even think of this. India is not New York or London, that you are comparing our cities, our towns with those cities. I'm only saying that the animal feeders, because the blame is always put on animal feeders. In the last 10, 15, 20 years, I have understood that I need to make changes in the way I feed or I take care of the dogs.
Okay.
You have to select a place because wherever you start feeding the dogs, they feel that it is their territory. So anybody who comes there, they feel threatened, and whatever aggression is there. And obviously people also abuse the animals. So it's both ways, but in a way, animal feeders should also take care the way they feed the animals. And if they find that certain
I'm sure all of us are accustomed to scenes of dogs being fed right in front of society gates. I mean,
that is not correct.
And that is where the problem is, that if you are going to feed dogs right outside society gates, they're going to think that is their turf. Let me start with Mr. Chibbar. You heard from the Noida authorities. They come to your society. They have made some assurances. They have said that treatment was meted out to this child. Unfortunately, the doctors could not save him. Are you satisfied with the response of the civic authorities, or do you believe that the civic authorities can do much more when it comes to the menace of stray dogs?
Thank you so much, but I'm not the president. I'm the resident of that place.
Okay, sure.
And we are absolutely satisfied. We are absolutely satisfied with the action plan, because when we complained about the incident, we had the authority guys walking to the gate in next 1 hour. But the problem has been in our society for quite some time long, and we have been facing these problems. We have been raising complaints, but action on ground has not been taken on to the right time. So this time, because we lost a kid, we are all concerned about it, and we are really very, very in a sad situation, and we are trying to do whatever best is possible. But I think as citizens, we have to be more responsible in our action plan to how do we actually deal this menace, because there are court rules, and there is a society, and there are animals. So we need to find a midway where adjustments can be made and everybody can live in peace and harmony.
Okay, I want to ask Gauri Molekhi.
Welcome back. Getting you a wrap of all the other news. The Delhi High Court has dismissed Umar Khalid's bail plea in the 2020 Delhi riots case. He was booked under sections of the UAPA. He was arrested on September 13th in 2020 and has been in custody since then. Right-wing groups held a halal-free protest in front of a McDonald's outlet out in Bengaluru today. They distributed pamphlets and appealed to the public to celebrate a halal-free Deepavali. The McDonald's outlet closed right after the protests were held. Roger Binny, former Indian cricketer and 1983 World Cup veteran, has been appointed as the new president of the BCCI. Binny has taken over the top post from former India captain Sourav Ganguly. And Leh has received a fresh spell of snowfall today, officially marking the beginning of winter. Besides Leh, the Khardungla Pass, the Changla Pass and other upper reaches have also received snowfall. And Dwayne Johnson's entry into the superhero genre comes at a time when the DC universe is plagued with misfires. Can The Rock's Black Adam steady the universe? This is a CNN special report. I leave you with that. Good night and take care.
I was a slave until I died. Then I was reborn a god. My son sacrificed his life to save me.
Dwayne Johnson powers up in the latest DCEU adventure, Black Adam.
These powers are not a gift. One of the most intriguing parts about playing Black Adam is we were able to create, and this is a high standard that I'm getting ready to throw out here, we were able to create the Dirty Harry of the superhero genre in Black Adam. I never said I was a hero. Clint Eastwood is my all-time favorite actor, and we were able to, we pay homage in Black Adam a little bit to Clint Eastwood. We're the Justice Society.
Johnson's character is among several heroes new to the big screen.
These guys have a great deal of history being brothers in arms on the battlefield and also just at home, trying to, as you can see, Dr. Fate is like my true north throughout the film, always guiding me and helping, you know, the Hawkman still in this space be a leader.
For us as the actors, we were a very tight-knit group.
Yeah.
You know, and we were all in it together, and it was unspoken.
Yeah.
We had lunches and dinners, and we all came together with kind of ease and grace and respect for each other. Heroes don't kill people. Well, I do.
Less than 10% out of a possible 60 million dogs across the country, less than 6 million have been sterilized. Surely then you would agree that there is a problem of non-sterilized dogs, and particularly in urban centers like Delhi NCR, or you saw what happened in Kerala a few months ago. If you have a large number of non-sterilized dogs out there, surely it's an invitation to kill.
Zero resources by the center towards the animal birth control program. Municipal corporation not even understanding their duty, let alone trying to implement it properly, and state governments not monitoring the animal birth control program as has been directed by the Honorable Supreme Court. These are the gaps.
Okay,
if only
I've got a bunch of callers. I want to go to them
resources,
first, and then I'll go across back to the rest of our guests. Mr. Kulamani Mishra is calling us from Bhubaneswar. Mr. Mishra, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Go ahead with your question, yes.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead with your question. I can hear you.
Actually, this dog menace is very distressing. And in our colony also, it is a colony of 210 families. The pet dog kept by the owners or tenants is also highly distressing and disturbing. When we are going inside the lift, one dog is coming from top floor, and it harms the new entrant inside the lift. So this has to be stopped. There are new rules to be framed, wherein a dog time should be fixed, but from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., dogs can be allowed inside the lift. Other times, dogs should not be allowed inside the lift.
All right, let me also go across to our next caller. Thank you very much, Mr. Mishra. Vimla is calling us from Pune. Good evening, ma'am. Go ahead with your question, please.
Yes, just about the stray dogs, it has become a nuisance actually. In each and every corner of the road, minimum 7 dogs will be waiting there. And when we go, small children, behind the children, they are running and they are just getting injured. So I don't know what will be the solution for this. It should be stopped, you know. Because,
all right, thank you for your call. Harish is calling us from Chennai. Harish, good evening. What is your question, sir?
I don't have a question. I have a solution for your problems. See, I'm 60 years old. For the past 38 years, I'm training dogs and I'm with dogs and I handle very rough dogs. The problem I've seen in all these years, all these dog attacks started after you people started castrating the dogs. That is one of the worst things you should do. They get frustrated. Don't stop that first. Second thing, what I advise you people, whatever the government or whoever the authority is, let the dogs be allowed to mingle in the public and let the children be trained on dogs and all this. Just a finger and your attitude can stop any dog from attacking anybody.
All right, Harish, thanks very much for that. Dinkar Pandey is Vice President of NIFOA. Shahzada Sodhi is also joining us. Dinkar Pandey, it comes back to the Animal Welfare Board of India, which has come up with rules which suggest that the victims in this case are really dogs. In fact, an AWI circular says that a person getting in the way of a dog can be perceived as an example of provocation. And citing these rules, oftentimes what happens is stray dog feeders frequently threaten residents, and therefore RWAs do not want to come in the way because they are often threatened with an FIR for criminal intimidation. Is it time that these rules are changed, Dinakar Pandey?
Yeah, right. And I'll talk about more comprehensive way, because everyone is talking about problem, right? Nobody is talking about impact. I'll cite some examples. There were some dogs in nearby society, I'll name it Infusion, some time ago. And by the time authority catches it, it took toll of at least 8 residents. Recently, one lady was attacked by a group of dogs, and she was not provoking. She was mature enough and fit enough. She got spinal cord injury, and she's on verge of losing her job. People, I'll take example, even my kid got attacked by cord, bitten from back, and she lost school for so many days. We are not talking about impacts. See, strays are not here to stay in your home, right? There are certain other spaces for them. We all are saying that dogs and men can go together. We are talking about dogs' rights. We are not talking about men's rights, human rights, right?
Okay.
In society, if you are going to parking, a group of dogs starts barking and charging towards you. How much capable you are to fight all those attacks together, right? So all the animal lovers should understand that we also are animal lover. We are not against. But then there should be rules framed, and not only framed. There are so much rules by authorities, by Supreme Court, by government. But how many are being implemented on ground?
No, in fact, some are arguing that the rules are also coming in the way. The rules are also a problem, as indeed judgments laid out by the Delhi High Court and the Supreme Court. Let me ask Shehzada Sodi this. In fact, earlier this year, in May of 2022, the Supreme Court, a 3-judge bench, had vacated a stay on a Delhi High Court order which said that stray dogs have a right to food and water and citizens have the right to feed them, which basically means it paves the way for community dogs to be fed either at private driveways or porches or spots that are designated in consultation with RWAs, which means it is incumbent on the local police to ensure that no caregiver or community dog feeder is... Good evening. The stray dog population menace has hit our cities once again, this time in Noida, which is in the Delhi National Capital Region, where a stray dog mauled and killed a 7-month-old baby inside a posh gated community. The child happens to be the child of a labourer who works in that compound, while residents of the community, some of them are visibly angry, as are ordinary residents of Delhi NCR. The question is also, if this were not a poor man's kid, wouldn't there have been outrage on the streets? Also, when will dog lovers accept the reality that some dogs are simply too dangerous and there is no place in a civilized society where a human being is killed at the hands of a rabid dog? But first, the story so far.
Massive protests in an apartment complex in Noida after a 7-month-old was mauled to death by a stray dog. The infant's parents are labourers and were doing construction work in the Lotus Boulevard Society. The baby was lying near them when a stray dog attacked the infant, even pulling out his intestines. The baby was rushed to hospital for emergency surgery, but he couldn't pull through. Now, residents have accused civic authorities of not doing enough to control stray dogs.
They are clearly angry with the Noida police and with the action which has not been taken by the Noida authority in the same, because continuously Noida has been in the reason for the dog attacks in the last few months now.
Noida authority officials have vowed to take stray dogs to shelters.
पहले हमने स्टरलाइजेशन शुरू किया, दूसरे पे फिर हमने ये शुरू किया कि अगर डॉग बाइट कोई डॉग जो है बार-बार काट रहा है तो उसको जो है ले जाके शेल्टर होम में रखना और 1 महीने तक उसको सुधारना और उसके बाद वापस छोड़ना। चूंकि माननीय न्यायालय के ऐसी गाइडलाइंस हैं, हम कुत्ते को पूरी तरीके से कहीं से भी डिस्पोजेस नहीं कर सकते हैं।
But it's not just in Noida. Stray dogs are causing panic in Kerala as well. multiple instances have come to light of stray dogs attacking bystanders, sometimes leading to deaths. So much so that the Kerala government has moved the Supreme Court seeking culling of dangerous strays. The news is not comforting when it comes to pet dogs either. Disturbing videos have come to light of pet dogs biting strangers in elevators in the presence of their owners. A kid in Ghaziabad got 150 stitches on his face after he was attacked by a pit bull in a park. Another scary video shows a pit bull clinging to a cow's jaws in Kanpur. So do we need stricter norms to deal with rise in dog attacks?
All right, is it time for stricter laws or perhaps even a relook at past judgments of courts, including the Supreme Court? Stray dog menace or mismanagement? You can call us at 01204341895. I want to bring in our guests who are joining us this evening on the show. Vaibhav Chibbar is the president of the Resident Welfare Association of Lotus Boulevard Society, where this latest case happened. Gauri Molekhi is an animal rights activist. Dinkar Pandey is vice president of NEFOA. And Shahzada Sodhi is a dogophile. Let me start with Mr. Chibbar. You heard from the Noida authorities. They come to your society. They have made some assurances. They have said that treatment was meted out to this child. Unfortunately, the doctors could not save him. Are you satisfied with the response of the civic authorities, or do you believe that the civic authorities can do much more when it comes to the menace of stray dogs?
Thank you so much, but I'm not the president. I'm the resident of that place.
Okay, sure.
And we are absolutely satisfied. We are absolutely satisfied with the action plan, because